guys.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I am in an LA heat wave that is actually
Oh,
very abnormal. It's in the 90s to 100 degrees.
yeah.
And I have to say, Kate, I feel very much like Dulcie in this season.
Dude, getting it. How's the rashes going? Yeah.
That's doing fine.
We don't have that
Yes,
yet.
good. Yeah, good.
Yes. Well, first off, thank you so much for chatting with me today, for holding space with Tracy, which is my podcast. And I want to say that I am an unreasonable fan of Deadloch. I've watched the first season about four times, and then after watching the second season, I went back and started the first season again.
Oh,
It's just, it brings me great joy.
you like the phrase unreasonable fan. I
Yeah,
think that's good.
I think that's good.
Yeah, yeah,
I won't have
Yeah.
anything less. I
yeah,
just
yeah.
want.
Oh. Well, I would love to just start by asking you a little bit about how it was coming back for the second season and working in this new location as a part of the character, which is actually, Eddie's hometown. And I'll go to you first, Madeline.
Yeah, it was. We were so excited to be, obviously the end of season one, thinking that maybe we could be heading up north, to Eddie's hometown, and to be there. I mean, the Northern Territory is a pretty spectacular place. Like it's just insane, insane heat, crocodiles everywhere. It's got a real kind of Wild West feeling to it, and so it just added just to be there and to be able to shoot it there. There's just so much acting we didn't have to do because
Mm,
there's so much just experiencing and surviving in that place. Like you are surviving that
Yeah.
heat and you are surviving, so it just kind of gives you a little extra layer to the performance and the authenticity of the performance. So
It's
it was pretty
it's really
good.
good being in like, having somewhere where weather does dominate you. Like it's very
mm,
humbling, and
Yeah.
humans often try and fight back that feeling, but you're up there and film sets often just it's you gotta move fast, you gotta move fast. And if you do that in conditions like that, everything breaks down. The people break down, the machinery breaks down. So there's
mhm.
kind of this forced pace that you have to take where you go, actually, no, this thing, this is this, sets the rules here. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
you kind of had to give into it in that way, which was just pretty spectacular. We should do more. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love the next time you'll do something in the Arctic or something.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
think the Capes like to torture us a little bit
Yeah.
like, there are times in Tasmania where it was just like, you know, obviously the lines, that Eddie delivered, like, freezing her nips off,
Yeah.
or,
Yes.
or like, yeah, freezing her cooch or whatever she
Yeah.
would say. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it felt like, and then everything else. Yeah, there's so much sweat. There was so much sweat. It would have to be, yeah.
Yeah, but Tassie was like, how many places can I find on my body to hide a heat pack?
Yeah,
So myself
Oh
looking
gosh.
kind of
yeah,
abnormal.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Well, I have to tell you, here in my apartment, I have the air conditioning on, but I also have an ice pack on my lap because it's that warm in here.
Right.
Yeah.
It's that warm. It's ice pack warm even with the aircon on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really haven't had a winter this year. It's been strange. Yeah, and it's very, very hot.
Have
Yeah.
you tried the things that you can put in the freezer that are like a cold collar?
I know I got to get one of those.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
amazing. I started because I moved up to Darwin after we made Deadloch. So I
Oh,
live there now, and I
whoa.
started going through perimenopause at the same time.
Mhm.
So I was like, this is I don't understand. Like my electricity bill is
You just have to.
yeah, stand in front of the aircon all day. And yeah, those
Yeah.
things like these frozen dog collars. I was
To
like,
actually
yeah,
internally combust
yeah.
with those two things going
I
on.
know, like it's dangerous.
Visit in Darwin, you'll just
Being
be
up.
pulp. You'll just be a bloody pulpy mess on the floor,
Thank you.
like Demi Moore at the end of
Looking at Demi Moore. Yeah, it's just me. Madeleine,
It's just crawling along.
turn the air conditioner on. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Brutal.
I love that the weather is such a character in the show. I wonder, would you talk a little bit about the Kates and their incredible ability? I mean, first off, they took the genre of the modern noir and flipped it so that the victims that we see who are vulnerable and exposed are not women like they've been for decades. And then they added in incredible humor and poignancy to a story. I wonder if you would just each talk a little bit about the Kates, and I'll go back to you, Madeline.
I mean, they're incredible writers. They think they just kind of have this their ability to kind of translate their worldview into like you say, this vessel of like comedy that then can kind of pull the rug under you and become very poignant and moving. And it's like a real comedy's like a real Trojan horse for them. They sort of it comes in on this big vulgar, sweary, hilarious kind of show, and then underneath it, inside is this message, so I think their ability to balance those two things is incredible. And I remember the feeling of kind of when we got the screeners for season 1, and because I was actually on the writing team for season 1. That was my entry into the Deadloch world. So I was writing I was a writer in episode 5 for season 1, and then I got asked to audition, and then that was history. But it was, I remember being like, how are they gonna pull this off? Like, how is this gonna be equal parts suspenseful and funny? And then like watching the screener and going, they did it. It managed to be both of those things, and it felt like very willing to be part of something so unique. And they really work hard. They're perfectionists. They work hard on their jokes, and they work hard on the politics of the show, and they do not let go of it until it's absolutely right. And so,
and I think they just like, I mean, they're so acutely aware that the structures that we have built ourselves and the systems that are supposed to take care of the vulnerable people in our community and this kind of world that we have created just simply doesn't work. It doesn't function in the way it's meant to. And so in the way that they make their TV, they also don't make it in a way that adheres to a particularly patriarchal structure or a system way that we're used to watching it. And so it kind of queers your vision in that way and starts to, and the content of what they're making is dismantling these kind of awful structures, and the way in which they're making it is doing the same, I think, as well. And they're just really smart.
They're really smart.
And very funny. Smart. But they'll do all that and then kind of at the same time. So you just
yes, I mean they're also like bathroom jokes as well as like really important takes on racism.
That's right.
Yeah. But I think when you get that balance right, it can be, when you can kind of sneak the message into comedy, I just feel like it's even more powerful, than a drama sometimes, because
well, it assumes the complexity of our audience as well, and it assumes the kind of intelligence of our audience. So it doesn't spoon feed you things. It says you're capable of like holding all of this stuff at the same time. And because we're human, we have all that stuff going on in us anyway, the kind of darkness and despair and the vulgarity and the laughter. And it just, I think it doesn't second guess an audience's intelligence, and it just goes, we're going to lay out this kind of very human story and you'll come along with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And were you, I mean, Deadloch became an international sensation. How did that feel to each of you?
Funny, people keep saying that.
Aware of it.
I don't really watch that.
No.
I mean, I guess the feedback from the fans, like, being tagged in posts and sort of being made aware of, the kind of fandom developing around it and the number of people. But we don't sort of.
No, I don't feel like much has changed. Like I still pay my rent.
Yeah.
I still get
Well, good. I'm glad you're doing that.
and, I don't have an assistant or anything.
It's such a weird age for television, I guess, and the show goes out there and it becomes everyone else's, and then we go off and do other things, and but I do feel like it is a show that people come back to, and I feel like it's a show people rewatch because there's so much. The Kate's put so many. There are so many jokes. I mean, even the screening the other night, I found myself being like, there was so much laughter, and I found myself wanting people to quieten down because they keep missing the other jokes. So I was like, there's 3 more jokes they laughed through there. And we were like, and I think it's one of those shows that people like to go back to kind of pick up on, even the clues. There's many more clues. I mean, I was picking up on clues that I hadn't even noticed the other night in season 2. I was like, God, those Kates are clever. I wasn't they put that clue in.
Dulcie's a lesbian.
Yeah.
Imagine that. The Kates told me to stop watching or I'll start to see the plot holes.
I mean, that's probably good.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't pay attention. I started rewatching immediately. I wonder, would you talk a little bit? I had to rewind a couple times. There's some physical comedy that takes me out. There's a scene in the second season, which isn't giving anything away, where Eddie's on the high end of a diving board and Dulcie sits in the other end to have a serious conversation. And of course, Kate, you're so tall, and then would you talk about that? And then all the times Dulcie hits her head on everything. It's just perfect, some of the physical comedy. Would you talk about working that in?
I think it's just like I think we're a comical match physically.
Yes.
So that's kind of already there. And so you just like find joy in those little moments where you can just like have a little nod to that. So they weren't very planned, a lot of those. They were just, you kind of would just get this sense of like, for me, I'd just get this sense of naughty joy where I was like, oh, this is a moment to really push it. And the moment we sat down on that diving board and your kind of legs akimbo and it's all, and holding on to, I think that it's always that contrast thing where you're finding yourself in a ridiculous position but attempting to hold on to the seriousness of the moment with great dignity. I mean, that's the joy in it, right? Is going, I don't fit here, but what I need to say is really important.
I mean, it's one of my favorite aspects of Kate's characterization of Dulcie is her physical uncomfortableness. I mean, and often as an actor, I try to push you to the limit on that. I remember when we were first doing, we did our first screen test, we sort of, got in for season 1, we got into costume and we were just sort of standing in front of the camera and we just heard this like laughing out the fact our director, Ben Chessel, was just like, this is the show. That's the show. These two physically. So, and we did a rehearsal. I remember doing a rehearsal in those early in season 1. And it's just like, I'm just kind of like a Tasmanian devil, literally kind of swirling around Dulcie at all times. And a bit like the fight in season 1, the fight on the boat. You were just hitting your head on everything. And I was sort of, and you were sort of ragdolling me around, as dragging me up by the collar as much as we can. So we do try to work that in.
My favorite one that just came for you and I out of nowhere was in season 1. We were trying to get past some police tape, and I went over.
That's right, and I went under.
Just this little moment where I was like, and you look back, and it's just these legs going up there, and you're. I think you just get this instinct to it.
Yeah, we're just always looking for opportunities, but yes.
It's so good. Do you crack each other up often? Do you have to reshoot sometimes?
A little bit. Very funny. Very funny. But I think not as much season 2.
I just feel like we didn't have a lot of time to fuck around.
Yeah.
Because it was so hot. In Bachelor we were shooting north of Darwin, and we're often doing big long takes with lots of pages of dialogue. And it's a sort of walk and talk. So you've got the crew there following you. So we didn't have it didn't feel like we had a lot of time. We were moving very fast, very quickly this season. We were very professional, weren't we?
Well, I think when you look over, and you were doing it out yesterday, when you look over at the camera crew and Steadicam operator, Ed in particular, who is moving backwards through a city in those kind of temperatures and just like
Holding very heavy equipment.
sweating.
Yeah.
The mosquitoes are coming at him, and you're like, this isn't the time to add to the blooper reel. Let's just like push. Yeah, he's going.
And often, you know, like the dialogue and the gags and the timing is so precise. The Kates have written it so precisely. You there's no time for faffing. You have to get that timing as kind of good as you can. And it is a mile a minute. Like we speak a mile a minute. And there's no room, or there's often no room. Maybe
I think
it's a lot of
into a scene we might get one.
Yeah. But I think the thing that where the comedy is that they just take themselves so seriously in their ways, you know.
Yeah.
You're like the madness of the world that Eddie lives in is so very real to you.
Oh, 100%.
And my need to kind of like
follow a slipstream.
Solve something and stay focused is incredibly real. And so I think season 1 we found ourselves cracking up a lot more. And season 2, I think you sink into the world of your character so much more quickly, and you're like, that is not funny.
I'd get to chuck things in right at the very end.
Yeah.
A few, we'd get to like,
have a little play
towards the end of a scene.
Yeah.
And lots of those bits made it actually.
Yeah. A lot of
when you were like, is my hair straight?
Yeah, that's
the straightest thing about it.
Like Madeleine made a lot of jokes about Dulcie's vagina that ended up in there.
Right. Having thrush.
She's very concerned with your fungus, with your yeast infections, both under your breasticles and your uterus.
Yeah, I know. So
I think that's very kind.
Yeah. Times intrusive, but fine.
No boundaries.
That might be an HR violation, but it's very thoughtful.
I mean, Eddie is a walking HR violation.
You haven't heard?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Who's she?
Who's she? Yeah.
Her?
Yeah.
Who's her?
She lesbian.
Well, last year, first season, 3 years ago now, the first season took place in a town that was a hotbed of lesbianism, and now we're out of that space, but there's some new queer characters, and it's the world has expanded. Would you each talk a little bit about what that, I mean, I could probably guess, but I would love to hear from you what it means to you to be able to be queer actors portraying queer characters, and Deadloch shows here in the US where queer lives are being erased, or he was being erased. It's important. So I wonder if you would each talk a little bit about having these queer characters out in the world. And I'll go to you first, Kate.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something it's often phrased in a question about, queer representation. And I think there's a dryness to that, which obviously the word representation is deeply important, but there's like this kind of lived in vigor where we should just be very, very present at all times. And the way we were talking about storytelling earlier is an incredibly queer thing that the Kates do, where they look at a story and they go, not like this. We will not tell it this like this. Our job is to show up differently. And I think also the queer brain is one that was born to interrogate and to self-reflect and to define what it is to be themselves because they've had to. And so I think that having characters that are queer, that are investigating, and having, just as importantly, as queer creators is what we are in great need of. And Deadloch does not hit you over the head with queer messaging. Deadloch is just very, very queer. Its audience is very, very queer, but also like there is there's a massive straight audience out there for Deadloch. And I think they, maybe unbeknownst to them, are absorbing this queer messaging, as in a world that we go, let's look at things differently. It doesn't have to be this way, and it shouldn't be this
I
way. And
mean,
we've built something that we need to like tear down.
I was round at my mum's the other day, and because I said, the show's coming out this week, and my sister and my mum were like, this week, shit, we got to do a rewatch. We've got to do a rewatch. If we watch 2 episodes per day, we'll catch up by the time it comes out on Friday. And I was just sort of standing there as they were starting to watch episode 1, and we're casually having a talk. We're doing some logistical family chat about something as they're starting to watch the show. And the sex scene with you and Kath came up. And I was just thinking, my 70-year-old mum's just sitting there. And this is a show she's rewatched maybe 3 times now. And that's just like, and I just thought that was kind of quietly revolutionary that's normal now. That not only is that normal, that's one of her favorite shows. And it starts with a very queer, very funny sex scene between 2 women. And there was definitely a time in space, in the world, in history where that would have been so edgy for a 70-year-old white woman from New Zealand, But I mean, I love that, and I also just, I mean, everything Kate said, but also, to be able to portray messy queer characters too, to conflict queer characters with, not imperfect and working through stuff, especially for Eddie. I mean, not to spoil her too much for season 2, but there's a lot going on for Eddie, and there's a lot that Eddie gets exposed to via this new friendship with Kath and Dulcie that kind of explodes her tiny 12-year-old boy brain. Gender, gender and sexuality, and
the weather.
And and I think that those two things, queerness and political activism, are always entwined. They're always and the Kates have just inherently made this very queer show for both on the political level and just the representation of queer characters we haven't seen before, and giving a voice to minorities, people we haven't heard from and we don't get to see much. And it is so vital, and I'm so terrified for what's happening in America. It is a place that is dear to my heart, and I'm terrified for my friends there. And I just hope and pray that can, get rid of this fucking administration as soon as possible. I'm genuinely terrified for my friends, and like it feels like just even in the television space, we've lost so much queer representation, even just in like the last year, just vanished from TV. And it scares me for our young people. And so it feels like a very important time to be making a show like Deadloch for our young queer people that need hope and need to see themselves.
And also feeling in Deadloch as well. I always get like where I think Amber Darryl says at one point, no one's gay in our family. But you get the feeling like actually every character in the whole town is gay. They just know it yet. It's just this kind of underlying feeling that I think, it's probably all of you, but you're just not exposed yet.
It's that fear, isn't it, of like,
exactly,
that like irrational fear of the freedom and in queerness or something. It's someone like Amber Darryl, who is just so repressed and so got something else going on. But
her arc is interesting in the second series. Madeleine, I just wanted to say regarding the United States, my ex and her wife are outside of Sydney, and the day after the 2024 election, her wife messaged me and said, if you need to come stay with us, you have a place.
Oh God.
Which is really sweet.
If you need to, you've got your box in the South Pacific.
Yes.
We're doing all right over here. We're doing okay.
So far. We do need to follow suit a little bit.
I mean, the whole world feels like it's tilted a little bit. And I know it happens, but it feels like we are in a particularly bad spot. But anyway, you're always welcome.
Yeah.
You're always well. You can come to New Zealand too if you want. I've got 4 bedrooms.
All right. You may hear from me.
There you go.
Thank you. I want to be sure I ask Kate, Dulcie and Kath, what a couple. Would you talk about working with Alicia? I love how sex positive and horny
Yeah.
Kath is.
Yeah.
And Dulcie is just like,
Yeah, I mean, Kath is exactly who Dulcie needs, right? Like, there is
Yeah.
not a better pairing for Dulcie out there ever. Sometimes I go, oh, Kath could do a bit better. Like, I feel like in terms of somebody's capacity to take care of their lover, like Dulce can fall off fall down the charts on that one pretty quickly. And I think Kath is just an absolute gift for Dulcie.
yeah,
And it's great to know. I think she just seeing Dulcie as we see her, which is, kind of deeply repressed, incredibly buttoned up, knowing that she has Kath in her corner and the things that may happen off screen that we don't see, that Eddie sometimes alludes to in this season. But I think their sex life and the love
Well, you're
that they
sharing a
have for each
caravan.
other.
She
We're
hears
sharing
it all.
yeah. But I just think it's like it's a nice reminder that this other thing exists outside of what we see on the screen or what we see at work.
yeah.
Um and I think it's like having somebody be so patient with you as you continually struggle with accessing any emotional vulnerability, but somebody who never gives up on you in
Mm.
that. I just find such an extraordinary pairing. I think, yeah, it's so beautiful. And also, like, even though Dulcie's constantly getting embarrassed by it, Kath is the love of her life. And so, therefore, there must be a part of her, I think, that is a bit embarrassed, but also deeply proud and a bit turned on. So, I think there's kind of like poor Dulcie trying to deal with all of her kind of Catholic upbringing and, whatever that thing was. There's a deep kind of need and desire for Kath.
Mhm.
And Alicia is, I mean, I don't know, she's always been, apart from you, she's always been my favorite character. Like, I just find the kind of life and the joy that Alicia brings to that role. I just find it
Yeah, I mean,
astonishing.
season 2 as well, she's just so beautiful and so open, and the kind of way she's just kind of loving the town,
Yeah.
and just she's done the work a little,
Yeah,
she
yeah,
learned a lesson season 1, and she's done the work a little bit. She's
yeah,
still a motor mouth, what a mouth of a cocaine parrot, I think, is how
yeah,
Eddie
yeah,
describes her in
yeah,
season 1. But she's just so joyful, and she really, I think, I really enjoyed the sort of subtle, like Eddie Kath shift in their
yeah,
dynamic as
yeah.
well
So
in season 2. Eddie's got a lot of time for Kath, even though she's probably slightly annoyed by her talking so much all the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Um,
The dog photos.
yeah, but yeah, she's just an incredible, and Alicia just
Yeah.
is an absolute. I was sitting next to her at the screening the other night, and I just kept squeezing her arm because
Yeah.
I just loved, there's just certain nuances in her performance that I just love her so much, and no one else can do that. No one else does that. There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's no one else like Kath.
Yeah.
On TV.
No,
Yeah.
no, she's singular.
Yeah.
Madeleine, I wanted to just check with you because Eddie has a little flirtation this season. I'm not going to say anything. Eddie had a big romance in season 1 while working on a case, and I'm wondering, is Eddie turned on by working a case?
She's got a case kink.
Yeah.
She's got a little case kink. I mean, look, season 2 starts, I think, while they are very different characters, there are similarities in terms of the fact that these two characters they don't deal with their shit. They are deeply traumatized after what happens in season 1, and then we meet them pretty soon after that, and they're on to the next. It's like they just work to not think about what's happening internally for themselves. They'd rather work a case than actually deal with the shit. And so much comes home to roost for Eddie in season 2, being in her hometown and being confronted by her past. And yeah, I think there's sort of huge kind of shifts happening inside of her, but she does really have the emotional maturity of like a 12-year-old boy. So dealing the ways in which these kind of flirtations and things come out, like I think that was the direction. It was just like the Kates were just like, think about these kind of interactions as like someone trying to flirt for the first time, in a way, and not really coping with, not really understanding their gender anymore, or what they're into anymore. I mean, there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to unpack, but
Yeah.
it comes out in very hilarious ways, and it was very fun to play off of, without saying too much, with Mickey, played by Shari Sevens. We had a lot of fun, kind of,
Great,
just being
another
like,
great character.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, the love hate. There's a lot of love hate in Deadloch. It's a theme of the show.
I love
Loving
that
and hating.
when you were watching her put on deodorant.
I mean, I laughed so much reading that, and to play that, but just the confusion of
why?
what is happening? What is happening to me?
Yeah.
Is that hot all of a sudden? The confusion, like getting to kind of portray that, that absolute, which any queer person, we've all had some sort of version of that in our own lives at some point, like
awakening.
Wait, what's this awakening? What's this feeling?
Yeah.
Who am I? What do I like? I don't know. Am I a boy, girl? I don't know.
Yeah.
It was very fun to play through a character like Eddie. And again, it's that kind of Eddie's not. It's not a messy. It's not a clean transition. It's messy, and it's like life, and getting to play that through that character was very fun. And
I remember having this very distinct moment when I was younger, where I was watching The Wonder Years, and I had this like deep need to know what Winnie Cooper's hair smelled like. I think mine was like, I reckon it's like
I think. What did you think it smelled like?
apple blossom. I remember that. I don't even know what apple blossom smells like. I was like,
I don't even know if that's a thing.
the apples even blossom. I was like, it's going to be some kind of like,
Well, looking back, the signs were all there. The signs were all there. You wanted to sniff
There it was.
and you wanted to sniff a lady's hair. That
was my deodorant.
Yeah, that was your deodorant moment.
That's awesome.
I think that sounds like a relatable experience. I have just one more question for each of you. It's actually my central question from my podcast, if you wouldn't mind answering. And the question is, what is that piece of art, either film, TV, music, literature, something that you love that's been with you throughout your life for quite a while, and its meaning possibly changes over time?
That's a beautiful question.
That is a really
Oh,
big.
thank you.
How dare you, Tracy?
Yeah.
Well, mine is behind me, The Wizard of Oz. So,
I mean, first thing that comes to mind, oh God, is probably The Sound of Music,
oh, I love that.
which it's like the Christmas movie in New Zealand. It was on every Christmas, so we'd all sit and we'd watch The Sound of Music. And for me, it's got everything. And even just saying that in these times, you're like, yes, it's a silly musical, but the themes are still relevant to today, to what's happening in the world right now. And you're like, I don't know, that's such a nostalgic film for me. It's got everything. It's got outfits made of curtains. It's got Nazis. It's got
singing.
It's got puppetry. It's got bicycles. It's got the Alps. But I think that I do The Sound of Music. That's probably like one of those like things that will be. That's one of my faves. And also seeing The Wizard of Oz. Like I just played that too.
I love that. Also, when I was quite young, I had a crush on Liesel. So
I think I did too. Oh my God! Yes, I wanted to be Rolf.
ooh, she was a dish.
Yeah. Oh, not when he went bad.
Yeah.
Not after he went bad. No, just in that, just dancing around the
Rotunda.
rotunda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dear Rolf, stop. Don't stop. You're in
Incredible.
I know every word.
Well,
I know where the efforts are. What about you?
thank you for that, Madeline.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do find like having kids, like I have three little kids and three little girls, and the things that I held on to, the stories that I adored as a child, kind of returning to so many of them now. I was like, what were we digesting? Like the
Yeah.
things that stories that kind of I was obsessed with, like I was obsessed with The Little Mermaid. I was obsessed with all different versions of The Little Mermaid. I found it kind of this extraordinary tale. I remember, going to Copenhagen and looking out for trying to find the little statue and then trying to introduce art to my kids in that way, or things that I reflected on, and just going, oh, I don't know if I'm okay with this now. And then
Yeah.
So many things. I've gone back to play my kid the things we watched as kids, and there's so many things that you're just like, oh no, the politics are all off.
Yeah. And the fact that we weren't aware of that, but we absorbed that. And
Beauty and the Beast.
Oh my God.
Like, girlfriend, get out of there.
Yeah, right.
She is not your therapy. Like, it is literally like, you got anger management problems, go to therapy, leave her alone, set her free.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think, in terms of a lot of storytelling, I am doing a lot of revisiting of that stuff in the moment, unpacking. So probably the things that I constantly come back to would just be the music that I grew up listening to. So like things that now my kids are into that I love. So there's always Fleetwood Mac is kind of constantly playing at the house. And so it's those songs that you heard a long time ago that you suddenly hear again, like, like Landslide. You kind of go, I heard that when I was younger, heard that after I went through a separation, heard that now as I'm bringing, my kids through this next part of their life. And so there's so many, it's often that childhood music and a lot of Fleetwood Mac, actually.
Yeah. And I'm also living.
That suddenly means something very different to me now.
But yeah, totally. Yeah. I'm also just living for this like generation of queer musical artists that are sort of like staunchly political to all of them, even just queer allies like Sabrina Carpenter, their politics are on their sleeve. They're coming into their power, and they're bringing their message with them, like Billie Eilish and people like that who are standing up and kind of voicing and being so like kind of brave with their platforms. I'm kind of here for this young queer generation as well, where their sexuality is kind of out there and they're brave, and like they're kind of they're giving me a lot of hope as well. I know that's not the art question, but
I think
but it is. It's an extension of it. Yeah. I love it.
It's really important for us to learn how to let art go.
Yeah.
And just that no longer serves us. Because often I think the people that try to hold something in reverence are doing it in a way that is no longer healthy or letting us evolve. And so I think there is so much art that we've just got to go, that shouldn't mean anything to us anymore. That shouldn't mean what it meant.
And we should
separate the art and the artist. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't separate the art from the artist. So also as you grow older and you learn more about the humans that make the art, you also go, I don't want to celebrate that person, even though I don't mind looking at that painting, or I don't want to give that person an award for playing an absolute arsehole when I know that they are. Do you know? Like there's kind of, I want to be able to like hold who we are as citizens and who we are as artists with equal,
Right.
I
mean, I think it's important to interrogate and ask questions of like what we've made in the past and what that's informed and how that's informed society. I've been doing a lot of rewatching of old things with my 8-year-old. And tell you one that just absolutely made me weep, and I don't know if it was E.T. It was like watching E.T. with my 8-year-old and my nephew and my niece, and they just locked in as well. Especially when it was like we wept watching this movie about this, and that feels so relevant, and like this othered being, this sweet, and the way humans just are, and the innocence of kids, and how they can be the hope for for future generations, and also, our kids are so kind of cotton-wooled, I think, sometimes with a lot of the content they get as well. And, it sparked this huge conversation about death and about othering people and, aliens and so there are still some gems from back there that hold up back in our day.
Yeah.
And then there's some really problematic problematic stuff too.
Yeah.
A lot of problematic.
To interrogate, and it's important to move on. I agree from things that don't serve us anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, Madeleine, about the other, because the whole reason I asked this question was I went viral for asking a question about Defying Gravity to Cynthia Erivo and what it meant to her singing it in that moment, because that song means so much to especially queer people. And so that's where this question derives from. But, of course, she's playing the ultimate other in Wicked. So yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you. Well, that's everything, and I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. It's really been my pleasure.
An absolute joy, Tracy. And honestly, come down to Sydney, come down to Auckland, New Zealand.
Yeah.
With your Antipodean and queers.
Yeah, I'll take you out for a sandwich.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. I mean, I might be there in September, so
great.
You may hear from me.
There you go.
Thank you.
So nice
Thank
chatting.
You for the beautiful questions.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hi,
Tracy. Thank you for doing this.
Oh no, my God! Thank you for speaking with me. Well, first off, I just want to say congratulations on season 2 of Deadloch, and just let you know there were a few TV series that got me through some really rough times in the pandemic and post-pandemic and, political times here. And I think I've rewatched the first season of Deadloch 4 times at least.
Don't watch it anymore because you'll start seeing all the plot holes. That's enough.
I don't care.
Stop now.
Okay. All right. Because you told me, I will. Well, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. But yeah, thank you so much for speaking with me. And I really just want to begin with a congratulations and ask you a little bit about your approach to breaking story on season 2, because I mean, you're talking about plot holes, but these stories are intricate and you leave every episode with several cliffhangers. It's really fun in that way. It's kind of a little old school in that kind of cliffhangery way. So would you talk a little bit about breaking the story on the second season?
Yeah, well, we'd been developing it pretty much since we were writing season 1, really, because we had all of these scenes in the pilot episode of season 1 that had Eddie in them in Darwin, so in the top end, but they just didn't quite work. And so we sort of thought, oh well, if we do a second series, that's where we'll set it. So once we'd sort of given ourselves permission to do that, I think we just started banking kind of stories, and the research started from that, pretty much that moment. But like as soon as season 1 came out, we were like, right, we need to get on a plane and go to Darwin and the top end. And so we took ourselves off on a little honeymoon. It was very romantic. Neither of us have. I don't think I've ever been on a holiday before, if we're being honest. And it was just nice. It was such a nice time. And not having it was just the two of us. So anyway, it was great. It was really fun. So we spent like a week up there just soaking in as much as we could. And this was before season 2 was commissioned. But we wanted to really sort of soak it up and get a sense of the place. And we visited the town that is now Barra Creek, and as soon as we got there, we were like, this is the place. But yeah, from there it was like, okay, well, we need to I don't know, there's certain themes that we wanted to address with season 2 that I guess spoke to like the similar themes to season 1, but I think being a bit more specific to the Northern Territory in Australia, and I guess looking at policing and looking at the effects of colonialism, and really we wanted to sort of get stuck into that. So it was about getting a room together of people who kind of complemented us and sort of filled a lot of the gaps that we've got in our experiences.
The vast chasms that our experience doesn't fill.
So we did some workshopping, and then as the season sort of the writing progressed, we sort of had lots of collaborators and consultants, and it was sort of breaking the story was very much a team effort, and so we worked with a friend of ours who her mother is an Indigenous woman who used to be a police officer, and we spoke to her name's Ronnie Gorry, and spoke about her experiences of being in the police force as a brown woman and as a black woman, and it was really informative. So there was lots of conversations that kind of went into it before we actually went and got, okay, right, this is what we're going to put into the script. But it was a lot of research and a lot of conversations and just trying to get that grounding of the story.
But we had like sort of honed it a little bit in terms of trying to feel like it's always a conversation in terms of like how much is comedy, how much is like drama with the show. Right. It's kind of like we try and do both. But
and you do it very well.
Oh, thank you. We work so hard on it. But the first series, like, we had only ever done half-hour shows prior to that, and they were pretty like with a tiny bit of a B story, not really kind of as ambitious as this one, as this show, and we kind of just had to learn on the fly. I would say that your kind of crime instincts and how to structure crime, you're very much kind of we'll write something and I'll be like, that feels satisfying, and then I'll get like a 3 a.m. text from you. So like, what's about, like, she does a lot of thinking in the shower.
I do.
Does a ton of thinking, and she's like, and I'll get a message just going, well, I was just thinking, what if we did this? I'm like, fuck, we have to rewrite this. You're consistently correct, and that's annoying for me to have to admit. You are,
but at least you admit it. At least you can admit
it. Thank you for giving me the credit. I deserve credit. It's like it has been a sort of. It's funny, like, because sometimes people will be like, no, this feels like it's dramatic enough, or this feels like it's tense enough, or there's enough of a cliffhanger. But we both know if it's not enough. We can kind of be like, nah, no, that's not going to kind of.
We can push it a bit further.
Yeah. It's good. I love it. It really works for me. Would you talk a little bit about picking up this partnership relationship between Dulcie and Eddie? Because obviously it's, very combative at the beginning of the first season, and they kind of come into some kind of partnership, friendship, and of course there's still screaming matches, which we love. But would you talk about being able to pick up with them being at this place?
Yeah, so like because we originally were in the shows that we were writing, we were used to having two-handers, so that's kind of been an easy dynamic for us to write. And then subsequently we realised, it's better if we're not in them. They go better. You know what's great? People who can actually act. Anyway, crazy thought. That was a kind of it was like pretty easy to sort of do that within the first season, and then with the second season, I think we just kind of setting it in a different location, which we always plan to do, having it be like Eddie's hometown, having Dulcie be the outsider, has just like allowed another
iteration,
engine of story. It's been really fun to sort of,
and also like I think we had a lot of fun at the start of this season with exploring this idea that Eddie's almost like a family member, I suppose, of Dulcie and Kat's, and like actually taking, like the three of them are living in this camper van together, and this has been going on for weeks, and like Eddie's sort of as a character, I think something that we said early on, that Eddie's yearning for family, like that's what Eddie's great want is, And so sort of finding that with Kath and Dulcie, we really like that idea of sort of, you know, the chosen family, I suppose, and then watching to see how we could try and break that, I suppose. And, you know,
establish it and then just smash it.
Yeah, smash it. But also just, exactly. Looking at Eddie sort of, you know, how Eddie finds family across the season was something that we really, it was really enjoyable to write that.
And then just, you know, like adding kind of heat to it was really just an easy way to kind of, because it's so hot up there. Have you been to the Northern Territory?
No, but I'm in a heat wave in Los Angeles right now, and I
know about your heat waves in Los Angeles.
I have been complaining all morning. I have my air conditioner on. I'm like, I'm going to move to Svalbard. I can't do this. I hate it.
Where's it there right now?
What's that?
What's the temp there right now?
It's going to be 90 today. Yesterday it got up to 100 in March, which is
all right. I take it back, Tracy. Welcome. It is very bad.
No, it's really abnormal. Yeah. But yes, I do have a question here about the weather, the heat as a character in this series. Yeah. Would you talk about that? Because I mean, with Dulcie especially not being able to adapt, it's relatable and funny.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think with the top end particularly, like in Australia, the weather does feel like it's kind of, it's very present. People talk about the weather a lot here because it's a very legitimate form of conversation. It's not just kind of filler. I could keep talking about the weather, to be honest. But in the top end particularly, I think the only way, you know, it's so hot, so humid all year round, that you kind of have to just sort of like let yourself exist there. Like you can't, like you have to really lean into your own curl pattern for one thing. Like you just, if there's any, like your hair's going to, you know, don't try and be anything that you're not. And that's sort of it was a fun state to put Dulcie in, who's so kind of controlled most of the time. And so Boxy is like a surf god in real, you know, like a 6 foot surfing. Like, and it's, she like, she was under strict instructions not to go in the sun when she's from the territory.
We wanted her to look too comfortable.
And we were like, she wasn't allowed to go and get a tan. She wasn't allowed to do like any of that sort of stuff. We're like, no, you're not. You have to stay pale and you have to stay uncomfortable the whole time. And then like weekend after weekend, like we come back to set and I'll be like, you got some sun.
Kids made me take them to the pool.
I had to go to the pool. My kids made me. I'm like, didn't want a rashy.
We had lots of fun just basically taking all of the white characters in the show and just like the brief to the makeup artists were basically like they need to look like they don't belong here and that they are really, really struggling in this environment and that everyone else is very, very comfortable and looking, looking at the best versions of themselves.
Yeah.
With the exception of Kath, because we were like,
Kath's done the work. Kath deserves to look good.
Yeah. So Kath just sort of like, it's like the humidity makes Kath like sort of come alive in all her colours.
She's allowed to look good.
She's in full bloom.
Yeah.
She is what a character, and Alicia Gardner playing her. I have it later here, but since we're talking about Kath, she's so sex positive and also perpetually horny, and this kind of really makes Dulcie uncomfortable, which is such a beautiful dynamic. Would you talk a little bit more about that dynamic in Kath, and you know how she's sex positive and so open, whereas Dulcie's closed off?
Yeah, she's like we wanted to make a really strong relationship there, and so but at the same, like we wanted to have it like not like a tragic lesbian story. Not a period film. No one has to go marry a man at the end.
Oh God, no!
He'll be a lover in a painting. Anyway,
there will be an uprising.
Imagine. But if you she's based on a few people we know. Like there's a real life Kath who is just a jack of all trades,
And she's very good at everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also my partner, Sally, she has some of those really beautiful qualities as well. So we were kind of just,
She's constantly complimenting you, and
she's obsessed with me.
and constantly she's
But she taught us how to like
communicate
with each other.
And like all the stuff with Eddie and Dulcie telling each other that they love each other is all based on Sally
being like, now you say it to her.
She's
Now
like,
you-
love you, McLennan. I'm like, I'm very fond of you.
So, of the two of you, who's the Eddie and who's the Dulcie?
Well, like, so when we read the parts, well, because we do a lot of internal read-throughs, we do at least 3 or 4 per script, like per draft. Per draft of the script. Maybe that's maybe not 3 or 4. We don't have time. I read Dulcie, and you read Eddie.
Yeah.
But I would say that you have a firmer handle on reality than I do most of the time. And I would say that you've got like you're a country kid.
Yeah.
But you did like you were driving cars when you were 3.
Yeah.
And you're like,
there's a lot
you've
of
killed a snake with your bare hands.
I'm
I'm a city kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I did. That's what I did.
Cousins read. Yeah.
Just start a lie.
It does feel like there's like Eddie feels like a childhood version of me, like I don't know. There's absolutely Eddieism within me.
Yeah, but I would say that like the kind of there's quite a bit of like the neurodivergence in Eddie.
Yeah, that's
like there's a bit where I refuse to cut, which is just talking about sharks. Like, you know, like we both have a firm regard for animals and we like putting them in shows, but like I will go to the mat on some animal trivia.
Yeah, you will.
You'll be like, no, that needs to. But it's important for the narrative and the character development if we add this fact about bull sharks into this show. Yeah.
Absolutely. I caught that, frankly.
Thank you. Yeah,
I did.
Matters. People need to know the truth about bull sharks.
Last year, the first season was set in Tasmania in this kind of hotbed of lesbianism. Now we have them moved out, but now we've got some new queer characters. We have Leo, who's non-binary, and and then there's some flirtations, which I won't talk about. But it's still very rare, I think, in the year 2026 to see sapphic representation. And I am really grateful for this show, in part because of that. Would you talk about what it means to you to put this storytelling out in the world for people who still need to see themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the reason why we made this show. Like the first series was kind of inverting, like a sort of like a top line idea for the first series was inverting this trope of the genre, which was, you know, what if we gave a voice to the people who usually don't have a voice within these shows? They're usually just the victim, and that and that overwhelmingly is Black people and people of color, and particularly and queer people. And so it was really fundamental to it. So which is why we created this world. We're like, okay, well, if we don't center white cis men, if we make them the victims, they're the ones on the slab or in the, under the sheet this time. If it's the whole world populated by the people who don't. It was just, and I mean, I think it was important for us because we don't know how to write men, but also just like as a base level kind of creative, it was just like too hard because we're like, what do they like?
What do they do?
And repressing their emotions and farting. Silence for everyone. I can't remember what I was talking about, but I think it was important for that reason. It was also important because we just know so many fucking funny people, and we just wanted to let them shine, and let them have the jokes. Like we just want to let everyone gets to be funny. Everyone gets to be an asshole on our shows, and everyone gets to be funny.
Yeah,
and not necessarily mutually exclusive.
I think we also just found like it was, I don't know, like if you just, like you said, it's like decentering sort of that cis male voice by putting that to the side, and then naturally it kind of just, I don't even know if it was as conscious of decision to sort of go, okay, this character's queer, this character's queer, this character's queer. It just kind of like, we just like,
evolve a bit.
It's like also our entire kind of circle of friends is like, it's just
McLennan's the only straight person she knows.
It's just,
like, it's just you, mate.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it's just kind of like once you just sort of go, well, everyone can be whatever they want, and and it can change as well. It can evolve, and people can go on journeys, and it just it kind of just, and particularly with season 2, it was just like, okay, well, this is a very different environment to season 1. Like it's not like this, like you said, this like hotbed of lesbianism. It's a harsher environment up there, and there's less community, and so we sort of wanted to look at how the queer characters kind of factored into that environment as well. And so there was we had a lot of fun kind of looking at how everyone kind of interacted with each other, and how kind of, like I said, the story's evolving and the characters evolving as we go through.
Yeah, and also ultimately like the kind of political aspect of the term queer as well, which happens a bit later on in the series. It's like, well, you can be gay, but are you queer? That's kind of the kind of conversation.
It's always the thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Tracy, I'm so sorry, but
we're out of time.
Thank you so much. Did you have one more question to ask, or?
Oh, I mean, I just wanted to kind of, you touched on the social aspect of the show. I mean, we talked about the queerness, but I wonder if you could talk about the kind of line, or how you use comedy to tackle big social issues, including colonialism and sexism and, homophobia.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of been, we come from a sketch comedy background. It was very vanilla and very kind of network. And as we began to, we started making our own stuff. It was never, we weren't successful doing that. And then we kind of, it just like, as we kind of learnt what our voices were, we realized they were kind of inherently, we just wanted to talk about something. We couldn't just make kind of, idle jokes are great, but like, we also, it just needs a bit more meat on the bones for it to be worth us not being part of our lives. You know what I mean? Like being, it needed to be useful. There needs to be utility to it.
We also make work like it's the only chance we're ever going to get to make it.
Yeah, it's the only chance anyone's ever going to give us any money. It's the only time we're ever going to be able to let people, give people a wage, or give, have any space on the TV or whatever. It's just like, So it's like, quick, we better say everything that we want to say.
Yeah, we want to use the opportunity, but I think we're fortunate in that we do know how to be funny, and you can.
I've tried to be serious, and it doesn't work for me.
It's awful.
It's just more like people just like, can you stop? And I'm sorry.
they don't buy it.
No.
It does feel like we like the idea of sort of, I guess you bring the audience in with the comedy, and then we like a little gut punch that
you slip in the greens at the same time.
And that's like I was talking to my daughter about this the other day, because she's learning about persuasive writing. She's 10, and she was like, Mum, I added in these jokes because I feel like if you add jokes in them, people are going to listen to you and like you, and then you can say some other stuff. And I was just like, yes, mate. I was like, that's, and I said, that's what we kind of do. And and it's, I mean, it's a fine line though, balancing it, because you don't want, like the audience still has to feel really connected to the characters, and they have to feel their truth. And sometimes, you know, if you push the comedy too far, then the audience doesn't feel that sense of relationship with the characters.
And same with it also, if you push, like if you sermonize too much, they're going to be like, what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah. So it's that constant wrangling of tone is a really important part of the process. So and it's like a day-to-day from the start of production till the end. It's all about massaging that and finding the right balance. So but for the most part, I think we get it right.
Sure. We'll find out.
As a fan, I think you do. And honestly, one of my favorite shows of all time.
Tracy, thank you. Dude, that's really cool. Thank you. That's really kind.
Well, thank you for speaking with me. I have a silly question, and maybe you've been asked this, but do people call you the Beatles of Australian comedy? McLennan and McCartney.
To realise that, like an embarrassingly long amount of, we've been like,
it only happens if you put my name first, whereas if we always put McCartney then McLennan, but if you go McLennan then McCartney,
you're like, it's really, it's not great. Like, we need to do something about how similar our names are as well. But like, I'll take the comparison.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I don't want to take any more of your time or someone else's time, but it's really been an honor. I'm really grateful that you spoke with me.
Tracy, thank you.
Likewise.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Holding Space with Tracy E. Gilchrist. Holding Space is a main character production. It is hosted by me, Tracy E. Gilchrist, produced by Joao Del Stella, co-produced by Mason May, editing and sound design by Nick Walker, photos by Emily Teague, and executive produced by Joao Del Stella and Tracy E. Gilchrist, and marketing and social media, Ryan Heller.